Welcome to the Santa Cruz Coffee Break. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcast, please follow, hit the like button, or any subscribes. It really helps us with the algorithms. Santa Cruz Coffee Break is produced by the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum. All opinions are those of the speakers. We invite you to join us on the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum at SCGCPF for more fun. Now, let's get on with this installment of Santa Cruz Coffee Break. Well, let's get going.
Let's do it.
Okay. We'd like to welcome everybody to the 84th podcast of the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum. And today, we'd like to welcome in kind of one of our own. I have been following Paul Prokop on Facebook for, I don't know, maybe a couple years. And Paul creates these wonderful little melodies or others. Yeah. I mean, and it's mesmerizing stuff. And it's just let's just share music. So we thought we'd talk to Paul today. So welcome, Paul.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm honored to be with you, and it's a bit daunting to have this much attention, but no, I appreciate having this chance to talk with you all.
Tell us how you got started doing these things, because I know that there's a little bit of a history to it, and it's a very positive history, because we really got this podcast going during COVID. So it's a very positive thing. And okay.
No, I'll be glad to talk about it. So I mean, guitar has been a big part of my life. I'm 67, and I've been playing guitar since early teenage years. And my dad actually won a guitar in a work prize and gave it to me, and so then I started playing, and I played in lousy bar bands and stuff in college, and then with marriage and kids and stuff for a lot of years I've always had guitars around, but I wasn't as active. And I was working at UC Davis in a fairly huge job. I was part of the administrative team that was leading the $2 billion fundraising campaign. And so I was working with a large group of people, and it's very kind of a corporate-y, the business side of higher ed. It was raising money, and people are under pressure to achieve goals. And so it's fairly, intense work, and trying to, manage the productivity of people. And then when the pandemic hit, and trying to do that, over Zoom for the most part, was really challenging. And you could just see that people's, lives were so fragile, and people were so stressed. And, I have a bit behavioral sciences background, I should say. My degrees are in psychology, and I just started realizing that you had to sort of set all the things aside about, the normal ideas of, what would make productivity happen, and really try to do anything to touch people's hearts and souls, and to, help sustain them. And even if that made me look foolish, so I held my breath, and I'd done a few videos up to that point, and I enjoyed, doing the videos and posting things on Facebook. But I started writing these humorous little anecdotes, and a lot of them involve, our vernacular in the business. And anyway, they really, were quite a hit with people, and I got, a lot of, very nice, heartfelt responses. And so I continued doing that. And man, that was a lot of pressure, because people expected a weekly video. Some of them preferred not to be on the distribution list fairly quickly, but I did have a fairly good following. And no, I do think it was quite meaningful to people. And then, I retired a couple of years ago. My wife has some rather significant health challenges, and so I'm kind of her primary caregiver. And so that also added, kind of incentive for me to to go into retirement at that point. But I was ready, and so I had started doing these, as I said, the work videos and dabbling in posting on the forums, and it really took off, and I started getting very positive, again, heartfelt messages, and really from people all over the world. And so I tried to really hone my craft and figure out what is the attention span of the viewing audience, which is about at most a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and kind of imposing a discipline. It really helped to really improve my, I think, abilities musically, and help me to hone in on where was my unique space, and where could I get the most satisfaction myself, the most reward and enjoyment, and feel that I was doing something good. Because by the standards of the great musicians out there, I'm a mediocre musician, but I try to I think orchestrate a musical experience, that perhaps will touch someone's heart, or will make them have a positive experience. And trying to play with that emphasis is what I try to do, to create an experience.
That all sounds so complicated. I just kind of assumed you were a guy who liked to play guitar and put videos up. That worked for me.
The meeting's over. It's like, oh damn it! The guy has a sense of personal mission. We're out of here.
I know that I really look forward to seeing them, and you're a very soulful, precise player.
Well, thank you.
You really are. And I know I'm hearing some slide work, and you're either stepping on the cat or you're hitting the note, So I haven't heard any cat screaming. I'm hearing you hit the note. So I really applaud you for that.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, and I guess going back to what I mentioned earlier, trying to find my space, and so I've always enjoyed the alternate, the open tunings, and the DADGAD and Open D, and then really experimenting more and more with the different derivatives of that, and Open C, and the things, the wonderful tunings that Martin Simpson and people like that use. And that's what really brings me, a lot of the joy and satisfaction, and also I think that it brings out the beauty and the resonance, of the instruments sometimes a lot more. But I think people are incredibly skilled in standard tuning, and you'll see me throwing a blues and E on there once in a while too, just because it's super fun. But I think again, that alternate space, and I really admire a musician like Doug Young, for example, because his arrangements are very spare, but every note means something, and then he has that ability to seamlessly weave the open string, tonality into the melody, and that's what I aspire to be able to do that.
You should talk to Doug. We've talked to Taya a couple times, but we should talk to Doug. He is really a spectacular player.
Really, yeah.
And so easy to see him locally. I mean, for you guys, it's easy to see him. For me, it's a 4-hour adventure north. But for you guys, I mean, I know they play around a lot.
Yeah, they really. Yeah, they come out to Sacramento, and they go around the area.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Santa Cruz guitar exhibit at the Sacramento Museum?
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay, but we could send you the info on it when we're done. But apparently, Richard came out for a talk, and it was really probably pretty exciting.
Yeah. I'm sorry I missed that. That would have been a good thing to go see.
Would have been phenomenal.
But so, all right. So tell us a little bit about your guitar history. Where did you start? What was your first guitar?
I mean, it was a no-name, dreadnought. Literally, my dad won this contest, and he got, points that he could redeem in a catalog, and you could get anything from a toaster to a set of golf clubs. And he kindly said, why don't you take a look in there and, see if there's something you would like. And so, I'm sitting there in my little musty room in Western Pennsylvania and thinking, yeah, I might be able to get more dates if I played guitar. So, so that was the first one.
All right. And from there, where did you go?
And then really played a lot in college, especially, as an undergrad, and in bands just locally. And there's still some vestiges of one or two of the bands I was involved with that sometimes emerge in Western Pennsylvania, because I'm Facebook friends with a couple of these guys that are still out there playing around. So just a lot of fun playing in the bars and trying not to get killed, that kind of stuff. But just life and work and family, really took over increasingly in orders of precedence in later years. And it's amazing, how the years go by. But there's always been, at least a couple of guitars in my closet. And I became really an avid, sort of seeker of instruments probably within the past decade, really working Craigslist in the forums and, just trying to find, nice, mainly used instruments and upgrade my collection. And that's everything I have in my closet. I got that way. It was either, traded or acquired used.
So what was your first Santa Cruz, since we're, this is kind of our name brand here?
Yeah. No, I get that. So it was an H13.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think I got it from Hill Country Guitars, which was a great shop in Texas that no longer exists. So a lot of the great shops have gone under, but my favorite shop of all time was the Podium in Minneapolis. I don't know if you've ever heard of those guys, but
yeah,
they were fantastic. And I bought an OM from them on one occasion, and it was just a beautiful thing. And again, I'm going to start crying if I talk about the ones that I let go.
Yeah, we will join you. We will all be streaming tears. I think that's one of the great laments that a lot of guitar people have, is the ones, not that they got away, but I think more accurately, we let go.
Right.
Tad's not on the catch and release program. Tad's on the catch program.
I've let a few go that I have regretted quite a bit. An OM 42. I don't know why the hell I let that thing go, but anyway.
Yeah. But no, I think I've seen some of your posts. Like, are you on the Acoustic Guitar Forum? And
yeah,
you've sold stuff on there. I think I've seen you. Yeah.
Where I've tried. I have to admit that I'm so much better at buying than I am at selling. I got buying down like no problem. Selling, I'm not motivated.
Stuff just sticks. You reach your hand out and it sticks. It's funny how that works.
You have a.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, you have a pretty fantastic sound in OT.
Thank you.
Where did that come into the picture?
So I saw that online, and it was actually at a Guitar Center online.
Oh God.
And it was at a small Guitar Center. I forget what state. It was in the Midwest, and had it used. And I just ordered it up right away, and it's just been an amazing guitar. And I think it's probably one of the first ones, because it has the Madagascar, back and sides, which I don't think they do anymore.
Yeah. So if we were to open your closets, what would we find in there these days?
Well, there's the Otis Taylor, there's a Collings OM, there's a Loudon, a wee Loudon,
Uh-huh.
and a couple of Martins. There's Martin OM. It's a custom shop made for the podium, and then there's a 12 fret a Martin 00 that was made for a LA guitar.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's kind of the lineup, and then there's a Heritage electric, a 530, which is kind of like a casino. It's a great semi-hollow electric.
Nice, nice.
Huh.
And it sounds like a reasonable quantity. We won't let my wife hear this podcast.
Yeah.
Nor,
It's,
nor mine. No.
I, I'm I'm interested in how you record this. It seems like you've pretty much got it down, because it really reproduces well
Oh,
on
thanks.
the phone, on iPad, on my monitors, on my big machine. I mean, it really sounds good across the spectrum of things that I listen on headphones as well. So if you share how you do it, I'm sure people would love.
Absolutely. Yes. I use an Apogee hype mic, if you're familiar with those.
Yep.
And those have a kind of an analog compressor, and I use that on the lowest setting. So I think you can go higher for, like, if you're doing vocal podcasts or whatever, and you want it like super compressed. So then the pure natural sound is without compression. I use the first level up on the hype mic, and I used a Shure mic, which is also a great little mic. You've probably seen those a lot. I just said a MV88. Does that sound right? Yeah, so that's basically my setup with the going into an iPad.
Oh, straight into the iPad.
Yeah,
Wow.
straight into the iPad. Yeah, I find that works really well, and I don't get a lot of feedback or static or anything.
Yeah. And then you just use the iPad's camera for.
Just use the iPad's camera.
That's simple and clean.
Yeah, and that works really well. And then I tend to be very conscious of what's the lighting, what's the time of day, because with the iPad, the lighting is key. Like, I have not been able to get a good picture at night, no matter how I adjust the lighting in the room. For whatever reason, it just doesn't. I don't think it works very well. And then actually, I find I get some of my best musical inspiration. You're probably the same way. Like, I don't know, whatever your biorhythm is, like, I tend to, wake up from the couch at about 10 o'clock at night and just like, oh yeah, man, I got this great riff in my mind. I run down the hall in my music room and, want to jam. And it's, oh, if only I could get that on, get that recorded. And no. So, but yeah, so but I try to, I've set up here in my room by a great window, and that tends to work well during the day.
Nice.
I'll give you some information afterwards about a ring light that is really fantastic. My wife uses it a lot and just loves it. And it's an arm, and it's no bother at all. It's just good looking light. But I'm sitting here looking at a couple of different interfaces and headphones and a 103 Neumann, and what am I doing?
Well, it's great. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it seems like I'm hurting myself a little bit, to go to that kind of a level, but because you really are getting some really good tones out of that. You're not micing you're just micing the guitar.
Just like in the guitar, yeah.
Yeah.
How
All
far?
that money you could put it into guitars, Richard.
Yeah. How far away from the sound hole?
Maybe 3 feet.
Aimed at the neck, or just aimed at the guitar?
Kind of aimed close to the sound hole.
Yeah.
And
wow.
I play on the left knee, with a
got a stool.
I have a stool and a footstep, and then I also use one of the leg rests.
Like a neck up, or? I think it's a lot like what Eric uses. Eric Sky uses. I think he uses the exact same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to do a show and tell. I can turn the camera around and show you. I'm in the room if you want to see it, but
Sure.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to see what's behind me.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's going to believe it that it's just straight into an iPad. So
you are. You're going to edit this, right? So I'll.
no, we'll keep the fun going.
So there I am.
Perfect. Look at that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's even more impressive because you're reading, huh?
No, I actually don't. I typically don't. That's just for practice if I'm using tablature to practice. But I do use the nightstand light as one of my primary sources, of illumination.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Great. Thank you.
I'm impressed with how clean everything is too. I mean, that's
I don't know about that.
usually I have, guitars scattered about and
Well, I did pick up because of the
just for us.
because of the occasion. Yeah.
Well,
That's my of course my Santa
Oh,
Cruz,
there you go. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
and
Very nice.
that's a special piece that a friend made for me as a retirement gift. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, great. And as we sit here and look at you, the painting behind your head,
Yeah.
let's give a little shout out to your to the artist on that one.
Oh, so that's my childhood home in Western Pennsylvania, and it's Rebecca Street was the address, so everybody in the family knows that as Rebecca Street. And yeah, our older daughter's a visual artist, and she did that for me as a Christmas present one year.
Very
When I'm
nice.
doing all these highfalutin Zoom meetings for work, everybody, this is where I sat, so everybody knows Rebecca Street.
So how many videos do you think you've put up? Do you keep track? I mean, as you know, when we got started on our podcast here, it took us a little while to figure out our number, but
It's been a while since I've checked. I probably have 300 or so on my YouTube channel.
oh, I didn't realize you had a YouTube channel. I just see you on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. So if you, I can send you the link if you're so inclined. But then
We will post it.
you'll see all my other stuff. And I started doing playlists in different tunings recently, and that's people seem to like that. Like I've gotten quite a few views on my OpenC playlist, and so that's been another way to get the visibility going out there. And I just put together a playlist in DADGAD and another one in OpenD.
You do have a lot on YouTube. I got it. We'll share that.
Oh, thank you.
We'll share that link for sure.
Yeah,
And I always go back and I'm mining earlier stuff and like, oh my God, why did I post that? I got to redo that. And, so I always carry this dead burden of guilt. Like, oh, did I do that well enough?
It's C tuning, and I'm just playing in B lately. It's just so beautiful. I mean, it's just something else.
I love that tuning.
It's not one they taught us. You had to find that tuning. You really did.
Well, and yeah, I mean, Martin Simpson, again, I found some of his great tablature. And he does some derivatives of OpenC, which are really beautiful. Like he has the high E turned down, tuned to D, and that adds like a really sweet sort of almost a wistful sense to the tuning, which is lovely. He's done some Dylan song covers on that; they're just gorgeous. And like Pierre Bensusan. He's mainly known for DADGAD, but he's done some stuff like with its 120 PSI.
I'm trying to steal your slide, what your slide is. I was trying to look at your YouTube channel and see what you use for a slide.
So slides, I always used an Ernie ball, and I recently got what's called a rock slide.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that brand?
Yes, I've seen them around a little bit.
And so they're pricey. They're like $20, but man, is it a great slide. I haven't been able to find anything better.
What's the that's the green one I'm looking at. What's the composition of that?
It's molded glass. Here, let me grab it here 1 second.
Sorry to geek out on the.
No.
It gives us a chance to get a nice view of Rebecca Street there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is better than my ugly head. Yeah, so this is the rock slide, but it's tapered molded glass. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually a flat section.
Yeah.
Not fully.
Yeah.
You sure that's not just the neck of a Molson bottle?
It could be. It could be, but same concept. But it's really nice how you can brace with the finger if you're using the fourth finger like that.
Yeah. There's a slide guy in Petaluma, and Tall Toad's the only place I ever seen them. And they only have like one or two that ever fit me. And I buy them when I go in there, and then I watch them roll off the counter and onto the cement and become dust. So I'm looking for that product. I've seen it. I've seen a couple guys talking about it, but it's kind of it's sticky on the inside. If you sweat a little bit, it kind of stays in place.
I mean, it's just molded glass, but I haven't had a problem, with just because it's tapered.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think really helps, even when you are sweating.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
very much.
We're gonna have to get Mr. Newman a safety cable for his slides. Strap it to his wrist.
Well, it's just terrible when you watch it just roll off the counter, and it's going to the concrete, and you just know it's going to break, because they all do. I don't know. The Dunlops are okay. They don't break, but they don't sound the same.
I thought we might end up, kind of really getting into nerdy stuff about equipment. And so I was going to show you this really nerdy thing that I do I make my own finger picks.
Yeah.
So if you'd be interested, I'll show you that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I don't always pick with a thumb pick, but I use this a National plastic thumb pick, which is commonly available. So I actually make my my own single-use finger picks out of Band-Aids, and this is something that took me years to figure out, but it actually works great. So I prefer the Band-Aid. I think it's called a Tough Skin. And
let's see if we can get some Band-Aid money on this.
So I take a Band-Aid and I cut it in half.
Oh goodness.
Right through the pad there, and then I cut it again. So I basically get 4 finger picks out of a Band-Aid, and then I just peel back and cut off the remainder of the adhesive of the pad, and that leaves a small piece of Band-Aid, and I just wrap that little bugger around my index finger like that. And you can use it on obviously all fingers and even a thumb, but works great. And it also adds to I think the tonality, because it gives you the ability to really get better energy transference. So that's another thing I was going to mention. Over the years, I've really worked on energy transference from the shoulder to the wrist to the fingers. and trying to loosen up and relax. I used to play like really stiffly, and the notes were too staccato, and I found over time that if I'm conscious of that, especially the keeping the wrist nice and loose, you really get the beautiful flow. And then the reason I use the Band-Aid on the index finger is because the primary point of contact I find is between the index finger and the thumb. I think Happy Traum used to talk about this, that there's so many great artists over the years that only played with index finger and thumb, and I used to want to play with all my fingers and toes, and but I rarely use more than 2 fingers and the thumb, sometimes 3 fingers and the thumb. And I have the the right hand floating. There's people get very opinionated about should you plant the pinky or not. I used to plant the pinky. I think Stefan Grossman plants the pinky. That's fine. God love you if you plant the pinky. I don't. I started to move away from that and float, and that helps. Helped a lot.
It's really mandolin playing has loosened up my wrist, and grip, because you really can't. It's just gotta shake,
To articulate and really get the nuance, and actually to be able to get maximum, as I said earlier, energy transference and impact, and to play each note. I try, to play with soul and authority. I mean, like those great old bluesmen, some of them, they didn't play a lot of notes, but you could never repeat what they did. Like every note was coming like from the deeps of time, incredible. How are you going to ever, replicate that? And, if you talk about, influences, contemporary artists, but the wells that they drew from, Keith Richards talks a lot about this, and how those guys studied the old bluesmen, and that's how, Mick and Keith, met up, I think on a train or a bus, because they were exchanging, blues records, right? But to draw on all those amazing influences and that wellspring, from the deeps of time, it's just incredible, so I don't know, just to be able to, I think, play fewer notes, to play the right notes and play them with soul and over a rhythm. You commented about the groove in one of my recent songs, and I love that because the groove is everything, and that's just like, that's where the whole thing evolves from.
Yeah.
I used to try to really aspire to have magnificent technique, and now I've moved away from, I think, less about technique and more to melody, if that makes sense. It's like the melody comes first, and then how do I get there, versus creating a song that evolves out of the technique. And I think every instrument has that, presents that challenge. If you're playing, because I played woodwinds, and stuff in high school, and so you're dealing with that medium. What is the instrument, and what is most easy to what sounds reproduce most easily out of that? So if you're familiar with certain scales on the guitar, it becomes a self-limiting thing. So if you try to set that back and look at it more like a blank canvas, and think about where's this melody coming from and how do I create that, and then that causes me to go back to think about how do I voice this with which tunings, maybe adjust the tuning accordingly, and of course, what intervals of notes am I going to try to play? And then I'm making that sound a lot more thoughtful and purposeful than it is. What I'm trying to describe is sort of more of the spontaneous process of creating, music. But I wanted to give your viewers some sense of, what my thought process is as I am creating.
And That's amazing because you just lay right back down and lay into it. You know, it seems you've transcended a bridge there. You know, it's really it's beautiful playing, Paul. It really truly is.
Well, you know, we said some blessings did come out of the pandemic, and I mean, I think, you know, the thing for me was realizing I would never have been able to touch, you know, people's lives at work the way I was able to, just by, you know, kind of opening myself up and being foolish and, you know, making those videos. But I think, you know, I'll probably be remembered for those more so than some of the, you know, significant things I did, you know, as far as business accomplishments.
Well, yeah, I mean, business accomplishments are a dime a dozen, but playing guitar, that's special.
It's important, you know. I just say it's this annoying thing called work, you know. And my assistant used to just groan and roll her eyes because I had a fair amount of flexibility with my schedule, and there were occasions when I'd see something come up, you know, like this is in the old days when you could still get a deal on Craigslist or whatever, and she'd hear me like zipping up my briefcase and getting ready to go. She goes, "Are you going to buy a guitar?" I'm like, "No."
You're not my wife.
He's so critical of me.
I can't thank you enough for really, this has really been fun.
Yeah. And eye-opening.
Yeah, it's just fun too.
Well, it's been a huge enjoyment for me, and as I said, I'm just so honored to that, you know, you wanted to do this.
Well,
it's, you know, when Richard brought you up, I'm like, oh yeah, he's a nice guy who records some songs and plays them, and I listen to him on Facebook. Pretty cool. But like I said, I thought you were just some guy who liked to play songs on Facebook. But man, actually think about it and plan and wow, this is a whole nother level.
Didn't mean nothing by it.
Well, we are very happy to have you as a part of the Santa Cruz Guitar Forum and participating, which is something we'd like to encourage a lot more people to do. But, you know, what can I say?
And at the end of the day, I am just a guy, you know, having a blast sitting in that chair that you saw, and, you know, and jamming away. So I don't want to make more of it than it is, but, you know, there are some thoughts sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I have to say, if it were my setup, I don't know if I'd just be facing the wall.
Well, there's a window there.
Oh, okay.
Or the wall could just be a plasma screen of a projection of some beautiful beach, like a Dillon Beach or something like that, you know?
No. Oh, I had the blinds shut. See, it's a
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for shutting that. It makes it a lot better. I wish you the best and just a truly magical afternoon. You have certainly shared that with us.
And we will make sure to post links to your videos on YouTube. That should drive up your views by the dozens, perhaps.
The dozens. But we'll get it there. 405 subscribers. I'm pretty. That's pretty good, Paul.
Yeah.
We get you over 1,000. Then you start getting that big YouTube check.
Oh man! All right.
Mailbox money, you know, for sure.
My kid has plumbing bills, so I'd appreciate it.
Hey, there you go.
All right.
It might get you some new guitar strings. I wouldn't count on much more than that.
We'll take it.
Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
No, I'm so grateful to you both. Thank you. It's been a genuine pleasure getting to know you guys. Take care.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to get together in person sometime, so we'll plan that offline.
We'll make that plot happen. Okay, all right.
We hope you enjoyed this installment of the Santa Cruz Coffee Break. For more music-related fun, please join the Santa Cruz Guitar Players Forum at SCGCPF or SantaCruzGuitarPlayers.com. If you have any questions or possible podcast topics, please contact us. If you have a product or service that you feel would be of value to our listeners, please consider adding your support and keeping the coffee pot on. Contact us for more information. We ask that you hit the like, follow, bell, or bookmark buttons so we can keep you informed of upcoming podcast episodes. We hope you enjoyed Santa Cruz Coffee Break. Now it's time to go play your guitar.